Welcome back, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. Today, I'm super duper excited to introduce Edith B. Kiss. Is a holistic therapist, success habit coach, number one best-selling author, humanitarian award winner, and international speaker. She helps her clients to get healed from running minds and insomnia to gain more focus and fill the void in their hearts by raising their frequency and getting them aligned with their true selves so they can stand the storms and live their lives joyfully and reinvent themselves to the next level. She works with clients on releasing long lasting pains, blockages, ancestor defects, and emotional traumas so they can live fulfilled and joyful lives. I want to live a fulfilled and joyful life, and I love this alignment. Edith, welcome to A Little Less Fear podcast.
Hi, Lino. Thank you so much for having me, and hello, everybody.
What a blessing, really. I mean, I'm really fascinated by your story here and what you do for humanity. And it's also what you do for humanity, you do for yourself. So I think it's really incredible that you're able to be in your full purpose at the moment because you're living on purpose with intention. And so I'm really curious, and I'm certain our listeners are curious, what brought you to your current journey where you're at today, becoming this incredible energetic healer?
So actually, it was a very long journey because it started back in my 20s when I started to experience panic attacks. And first, I didn't know what's going on with me. Obviously, I didn't know what are those symptoms. And later, when I found out, I tried to find tools and modalities, natural ways to deal with it or heal it. And first I was taking just some herbs and then did some new exercise regimes and just and then that's how I actually ended up with Reiki. So I started to explore first Reiki healing to help with this issue. And it helped me to manage it, which means like it still was coming back time to time. But when I was using Reiki, it was, help me to um, release the stress or anxiety and then keep me on a more peaceful state. But it was still coming back. So I thought like maybe it's uncurable, maybe it's gonna still linger on, but at least I can have a life, still managing my life. And then I did the Reiki level 1, level 2 first, and then I also enjoyed helping others with this healing, just, my family and friends and my pets. And then after that, so meanwhile, while I was tuning into these energy healings, and then I started to enjoy the process of connecting with the divine, and understanding about chakras and basically also like doing extra sense practices and learning about the third eye and also doing family constellation therapies. This was so fascinating for me, and I loved like moving between dimensions, and this was my hobby. This was my sanctuary beside being an engineer, because I was, on the other hand, I was doing my engineering work. I was
Oh,
in a nine to
wow.
five I was in a 9 to 5 position, and I also had kids to take care of. So it was a bit of like, okay, that's where I'm going, like at the weekends for just escaping, and learning about these things or healing certain aspects of my life, some relationship issues, some pains or physical issues. I always went to this spiritual teacher who I had back then. And then after, like, I did even the Reiki master level, and that was when I moved to New Zealand. I left 9 to 5 because I felt like I don't want to do that anymore, being in that hustle, because I felt unhealthy, I felt overwhelmed, and I wanted to spend more time with my children and more self-care for myself. I was overweight as well. And so I went to New Zealand, and then I was already a Reiki master and started to heal myself with the master science. And after like 6, 7 months, I felt that there is a big shift was happening in overnight. And then I was kind of like stopped eating certain food, like food groups, I would say. So I stopped eating like everything which was made of white flour, processed sugar, and alcohol, or what was the other thing, like the dairy
There is,
products.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so basically I stopped eating this like overnight, and then I started to lose weight. Like every month I lost like 2, 3 kilos. So in like 10 months I lost 20 kilos, which is like 40 pounds. So
That's
basically
incredible.
Yeah, I was like, the sad, overweight person who wasn't satisfied with myself. Then in 10 months' time, I was like, wow, I can't even recognize myself. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that I'm in this new body. And then in the meanwhile, I was also started to work as a contractor, not as a 9 to 5. So I had lots of freedom, deciding when I want to work, who I want to work. And it was just like a very nice transformation in that year. So I felt the power of the energy healing, and um, and then I was invited accidentally. I mean, accident, there is nothing accident, but I was invited to a karma yoga healing course to translate the guru, because I was at that time in Hungary, and then I am originally from Hungary, and he was speaking English, so basically I had to translate from English to Hungarian. And I was there sitting doing the meditations, and then learning about mindfulness, learning about emotional trauma release and all of these things. And I was fascinated. It was so amazing to learn about those modalities and tools, and it was so new to me, but still so close. Like, oh my God, this is what I was waiting for to learn, or this was something which I was waiting for to open up this door. And then
Edith,
that's how I felt there.
Edith,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just have a question. Can we go back before? Look, we'll come back to you being in Hungary right now, but
Okay.
before getting to Hungary, let's go back to when you left the engineering position. So you
Yeah.
left the engineering position. You said that you were overweight, and at this point, you were already doing Reiki, correct? Had already
Yeah.
been doing Reiki. And then, so would you say, and I'm assuming this is what happened, that it was during the Reiki healing that you got the inclination or the motivation to stop dairy and to stop sugars and to stop processed foods? And that was what shed the weight. It was the alignment that Reiki gave you, more of a clear
Yeah.
mind. Is that what happened?
So I believe that through the energy healings, I got to the point that I raised my frequency so high that I actually tapped into some higher vibrations, and then the body didn't wanted to take in those low vibrational food,
That makes sense.
which wasn't aligned with my body. So it was like a protection. And then it was saying to me, okay, you're not craving that food anymore, or you not don't need those foods anymore because it's not good for you. So basically, that's what is happening when you are getting into aligned with the higher energies, and that's what I think it happened. Yeah.
That makes sense. And also because from my understanding, weight is emotional energy. There's specific energy that's stuck in the body. And so in releasing this energy out of the body, you were then able to gain some more clarity because you were releasing what was stuck. And in releasing what was stuck through Reiki healing, you were then able to raise your vibration, and your body was intuitively able to tell you it no longer needs these things anymore in order to, um, I guess, in order to fill in a void that you had before. That void was now being healed, if you want to say it that way. It was being unblocked.
Yeah, I believe that. How can I say this? It's like also the weight, like the fat tissues also contains toxins, lot of toxins in the
Yes.
body. So when you lose the fat, you also, uh, yeah, you lose toxins. So your body is also more pure, and basically it's just doesn't want those food anymore. So I still don't eat those food, obviously. So it was like a very strict cut in my mind as well. So I felt also like I got like a new program into my mind,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I just don't feel like eating them anymore. It was not difficult to, stop those cravings. It never came back. That was like kind of like a magical shift, I would say.
It
So it is,
really is.
yeah. So this can be really powerful if we do it on a continuous basis, not
This
just like on one session or something.
This is excellent. And so then you lost what was equivalent to about 40 pounds within
Yeah.
few months. And then after that, you decided to go to Hungary, where you met a another practitioner that was going to align you more towards more healing for yourself, correct?
Yeah, so basically, when the losing weight was happening, I was already back to Hungary. I was already taking on contracting work, and so then I was invited to this event, which was perfectly felt aligned, and then I was very excited about to learn more on this area. And this was about ancestral healing as well, karma healing,
Hmm.
past lives healings as
Oh
well.
wow, yes.
Learning about like why not just like the adult illnesses, but about the child illnesses, why they are happening or certain accidents happening to you, how this all comes together. So learning
Mm.
about all of these things, like to be able to also explain like what is the source or I mean the root of all of this issue we're going through, like life, why there is so many challenges, or why is it so difficult, why so many struggles, and how to overcome these struggles. So I was there, and then I was receiving all of these answers, and this was really amazing. So as I went through this process, these courses, and then I also learned how to heal the emotional traumas and how to stop triggers, how to actually heal from physical illnesses, because they are the piling up, the results of the piling up triggers and the reactions to the triggers. So basically, I started to heal myself as well, and the certain patterns and physical issues which were there for decades, they started to stop, like a cut. Like I haven't seen them afterwards. It was like so liberating and so amazing. And besides that, I also started to receive some breadcrumbs from the universe, some intuitive callings, because we work during the meditation, we activate the pineal gland, and then we open the third eye,
Oh
which
wonderful.
allows, yeah, which allows basically to download more intuitive thoughts, more guidance, from the other
Right.
side. And that was which gave me like the calling that I had to move to London. So that's why I took the steps. And
I see.
actually, I moved from Hungary to London within a couple of months to establish my business and start this healer journey.
That's incredible. So then when you were in Hungary and you were learning about ancestral healing and healing triggers, were when and from my understanding from what you're telling me right now, what started happening is the things that used to trigger you before were no longer triggering you, correct?
Yes. So basically, let's just say the simplest things. Like I had like a pelvic issues, and then that was like every couple of months I had certain infections, or certain situations going on, and then it was always treated with antibiotics, with the doctors, but it was always like, it seemed like it's always just treated one occasion, but it came back again. It came back again. So it was a pattern,
Yes.
in an illness. So, and what happened is I did the emotional trauma release on it. So it brought me back to memories. I don't remember what memories were because I've done so many healing scents. So actually, I just went back to certain memories. I had to release the negative emotions from those memories completely. And then what was the result is that actually, it stopped the happenings. And how it happens is not always like a magic wand. How it happens is that it affects in a multidimensional level, and is opening up the karma vortex, because we also activate the eighth chakra, and the eighth chakra is the door to your multidimensional existence with past lives as well.
Which
So when
chakra is that? I'm sorry.
eighth chakra is
How do
the
you how do you spell that?
soul star chakra. So the name is soul star chakra.
Mm-hmm.
I just said eight because it's after the seven. So sevens, eight.
Okay, the eighth. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the soul star chakra is the chakra of your aura. So when you activate
Oh
the soul
wow.
star
Okay.
chakra, yeah, when you activate the soul star chakra, is connect you to past lives as well, and past and future basically. So it's like in a multidimensional way. So what happens is that you open up the karma vortex through these healings, and is not just giving you the solutions in your body or within you, but is calling up the whole universe to bring you the solution. So what happened in that moment when I did this healing on me, I met with the right doctor, which was actually giving me the right medicine to finally stop this thing forever, because he knew that now you don't need just one box of this medication, you need a cure, and you need to take
Right.
it for a certain time, and this and this and this. So then I went through that cure, And then eventually it stopped everything. And since then, like it was 6 years ago, I'm fine, you know, it never came back again. And so that's how is emotional trauma release works as well, sometimes with physical illnesses or mental illnesses or everything, that sometimes it stops actually the issue immediately. Like you can feel it, like, for example, you have migraine or some back pains, then this emotional trauma release can basically stop it during the healing session. Or if it's something bigger issue, you know, or something deeper or like long term, more long terms, then might you need an outside help, but it's gonna come in. And other funny thing was happening, not funny, but like very good things happened when I was doing this emotional trauma release on myself, when I felt I was very sick about, like, I thought I have a, you know, like a virus infection or something, but I was also suffering from low iron level. And then I did the emotional trauma release on me. And then immediately as I finished the session, my doctor sent me an SMS that go and pick up your iron from the pharmacy. I didn't talk to that doctor. You know, like 2 months earlier, I had a blood test in the hospital, and somehow he just got the results at that time when I was doing the session. And he sent me the SMS, like as soon as I came out of my session, I looked at my phone, there was an SMS, pick up your iron. So this is like how it works, you know, is like includes everything, like the energetically is giving you the solutions, you know, and it's also affecting your soul family. So I had clients who had issue with traumatic experiences, you know, like PTSD, abuse, childhood abuse, so on and so forth. So when I was working with them, is actually brought them back to peace and harmony when they were able to forgive and release those emotions related to that past experience. And then the people who were also included in this and they were in the family, they also started to change. So they could actually see that
That's
they went through
incredible.
a healing as well. So it's like a soul,
Wow.
the whole soul family is healing when you are healing. So I always tell to people, like, if you one person is taking the responsibility in the family to heal the family, then that's already amazing, because that one person can impact the whole soul family. And the soul family is huge. It's not just a little family, you know, which is alive right now. It's all your ancestors, and also your partners is included in the soul
Right.
family, their ancestors, because of the DNA connection. So it's yeah, it's a really
This is
good.
incredible, Edith. I mean, and it makes sense. So, in healing yourself, you're raising your frequency. And so, in raising your frequency, it's going to have a domino effect, and other people around you are going to raise their frequency naturally. And then that's how ancestral healing comes about. I never even thought of it that way. That's really beautiful. That's incredible connection there.
Yeah, that's one way how we do ancestral healing, but there is other ways, like deeper things going on there, because sometimes what we experience as well is ancestral karma. So when we experience ancestral karma, it comes back. How you can see that you are in ancestral karma or under ancestral karma is
Yeah,
that,
that's a good question. How can you see if
yeah.
you're
So
experiencing
you can
ancestral karma?
see it, for example, through child illnesses, or someone was born with a disease or born with a incapable, you know, incapability or something. So basically, if they were not born healthy, you know, or if they lost health like on a very early age, or died from an illness in a very early age, or if you had an accident, if someone had an accident in their 20s or 30s and they died early. So that's like a, how can I say, that's like a sign that the whole family is carrying ancestral karma. And then basically you, if you are aware of it and you start doing the healing process about that specifically, then you can stop this in your family, and then it won't go further in your family line, basically. And then there are certain powerful meditations I learned from the guru to do that. So it's there is a way to actually go in and go through all the process and stop these karmas, release these karmas from the whole family line. And there is another thing which is can be shown as an ancestral defect, is when you have addictions and then you feel stuck in certain phase of your life, or you feel like whatever you do, you can't get out of certain situations, like maybe you are suffering from financial issues and debts, and then no matter how much you work or no matter how much you trying to do things, is you still suffering or you still in that cycle. That could be a sign. And then also if in the family, for example, there are some fighting in between adults, like in a marriage,
Hmm.
if there's lots of fights and then is just not never ending, is just never resolving, that could be also like the energy of the ancestors, the anger, the frustration, because those energies are coming from being in the war, like the ancestors were like, most of the people's ancestors were like always in war, fighting, going
Sure.
either hunting or fighting against each other, taking lands, taking properties. So it was a lot of fights, a lot of killing in the past, and those are the karmas which we inherited, and is coming into our life through fighting, through deaths, early deaths, and so on and so forth.
This is really incredible. All this is blowing me away, really. And so you went through is that part of the karma yogi practitioner? That's the karma yogi practitioner that you practiced? And this is
Yeah.
all part
So
of releasing. So then you go through is it a type of releasing? Like I'm trying to understand, how does it get released out of that karmic ancestral lineage? Like how does that actually get released energetically? Does it get released energetically through releasing the blockages or becoming aware of it? Or I mean, how does one even become aware of it? I guess there's so many questions there.
yeah, so as I said, to become aware is like you need to know the signs. Like basically, if people are aware that, okay, the signs of ancestral karma or ancestral defect is basically when there is childhood deaths or childhood illnesses, because
And
and I
it happens or after generation after generation after generation.
yes, or for
Okay.
example, an early death, early childhood death, or abortion, or something like, which is, it's not a normal natural life path. The normal natural life path would be you born and then you live your life and then you die when you are old, and then the adult illnesses are more the sign of your traumas. When you get ill when you are an adult, and then you get ill maybe at your 30s, 40s, maybe 20s, 30s, 40s, and even like 70s, you get maybe cancer or heart attack or stroke. Those are the piling up emotional traumas, like the results of the emotional traumas as it's piling up. That's how you get those. But when it's
Wow.
happening to children, it was always a question like, why is that happening to a child?
Yeah,
And
right?
that comes from the ancestral karma, and from there. Yeah.
Wow, that's really fascinating. That really makes sense the way you're describing it because I had interviewed this other woman. She's a metaphysical author on my podcast. Actually, about 6 times she's been on my show, and she did talk about how the short lifespan of children and how some of the diseases, including cancer, was karmic related. But I didn't really go
Yeah.
deep into it. I didn't really
Mhm.
understand it at the time. But now I'm understanding that it's more of an ancestral karma. That's really impactful. And so when somebody finally becomes aware of, okay, I'm seeing this pattern generation after generation, people are becoming sick or there's genetic diseases like myself, right? And then
Mhm.
now, my kid has it or their kid has it. And so I'm becoming aware that there's these patterns that are going on generation after generation. And so in finding out this pattern and knowing that there's a pattern going on, I have an intention to rid this ancestral karmic that's energy that's within our lineage so that it stops once and for all. And so for it to stop once and for all, like for example, I just put myself out there, what would I need to do to release such an ancestral karma?
So basically, that's what there is this certain meditations for that. So you need to go first to transcendental state,
A
and
transcendent
then
state? Okay.
yeah. So that's where you actually connect with your multidimensional existence. So you
Uh,
get into transcendental state, and then you meet with this um, meet, or basically you get into that state where you can meet with these souls, who created the karma, and then you can forgive to them, and you can also let them know that they need to take care of their karma and you don't need to. So it's like a conversation with those souls,
wow.
it's a guided conversation with them to make them understand that how to deal with it and how to you can actually liberate yourself from that. And then you do it under the protection and the energy of the supreme pure consciousness, basically, which is God, or whoever you call it, or universe, or source energy. So basically it's a guided process, and then you go step by step through your ancestors, and then you talk with them, and then you actually also go through all of the possibilities, like what had happened, like what are the possibilities for ancestral karma. And then you go step. One of the healing meditation is an hour long, because there are so many steps you need to take and go through, basically, to release them.
This is excellent. And so, basically, going into a transcendent state, and also knowing that you're protected, and asking the questions, and also asking if it's okay for them to take this karmic energy that's been within generation, within families.
Yeah, it's so
And
funny. It just came to my mind. It's like setting boundaries with them on a soul level, like
yeah.
how you set boundaries in life, you kind of talk to them that way on a soul level. Yeah.
So then you set boundaries, and like, basically, I don't want this anymore. I don't need it anymore. Can you help me release this or take this? And what happens to that energy when you're in that transcendent state and you're connecting with super consciousness? What do they do with that energy?
I mean, they take their karma back, and they're gonna deal with it in their next lifetime.
I
So
see.
when they're gonna born, they will deal with that, as a
So they
personal
take the
karma.
karma back. They take
Yeah.
that karma back. And so, okay, because I'm trying to understand this, because I guess while you were talking, I was imagining that they would take the karma, but they would I was just imagining that they would transmute that energy into something else, but they take that with them.
They need to take care of it themselves. Yeah.
So that karma was given by a different source. Is that why they take it back? What do you
I
mean by
mean,
take it back?
yeah, so they created that karma through a sin, but they did, basically. So there was their own karma, but because they are above you as an ancestor, you kind of, they would able to pass it on you. They were able to
Get it?
pass it on you, but then through this process, you can actually give it back to them and say, you take care of it, not me. So in next lifetime, when they born, they will actually take care of it themselves, and they will deal with it. So they will actually see the consequences of their own karma.
Okay, so they, the super consciousness in this
No, I
in
mean,
this
they are
context,
the
the
ancestors. Yeah.
ancestors. Right now, I understand. Okay, because at first I heard super consciousness, but I was trying to understand who were the super consciousness. But now I understand it's the ancestors we're connecting with.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I see. Oh my goodness. Because it's kind of just handed down to us because we're the ones reliving this new human life. And
Yeah, yeah.
they're out of this experience. And so that makes sense. Okay. Wow. That's incredible. And so that gives them the opportunity to work on that karma for themselves and to clear it out for their own energy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then in doing that, it has a domino effect and it stops it from occurring again generation after generation.
Yes, yes.
Wow, this is fascinating, Edith. I love this. Oh, wow. Okay, great. And so thank you so much for this. This is amazing. This is a gift. You're blessing me with you're blessing us. You're blessing the world with your incredible information. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you for this. And so another thing that you do, so you help clients, and you have clients, you help them heal their hearts by raising their frequencies and getting them aligned with their true selves. What is a true self?
Is so when you go through life, you limit yourself because of the society's expectations. You limit yourself because of you have a certain way seeing yourself. You have a certain perspective as you growing up, and then as you hearing other people perspective about you. So you create a certain beliefs about yourself, you having certain limitations from the society. So that kind of like depressing you into a certain persona. But when you start practicing these meditations and you are opening your third eye, you actually stepping into your higher self, and then you receiving more and more guidance and more feelings about what you want to do, how you want to feel, and then how actually you can open up yourself for other things to do than what you were actually doing until now. It's like that start to be your true self, basically, because then you realize like you don't have limitations. You realize it's okay for me to do this and that, instead, even though other people maybe don't like it, or it's okay for me to explore other areas, even though people wants me to do this and that. So it's basically giving you the permission to be you. It's giving you the permission to to be as you wish, like in your highest vibration, which means joy and happiness, to feel
Yeah.
joy and happiness. That's the higher vibrational emotions, and that's what we want to reach. And when do you reach joy and happiness is when actually you feel comfortable in your body, when you feel comfortable with whatever you do, who you are with, and what you're doing with your life. And then that's when people sometimes saying like, oh, I feel so lost because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, because I don't like what I'm doing right now, but what's next, And then they sometimes feel really lost. And when they start doing this meditation, they start to have certain feelings like, oh, I wish to do this, I wish to do that. And they start exploring different new activities, and they find the way to certain new practices or even careers and stuff like that. And then they call it purpose, like, oh, maybe that's my purpose because it came to me so magically, so new. And but the purpose is can be like different things. Maybe what you were doing already until now, that was your purpose until now, but then oft because you started to do that for a reason. So you were called to do that certain activity or job or whatever because you had to serve people in that way. But then maybe it's your next purpose, which was coming through more after your meditation, which is more aligned with your true self.
So purpose comes when you're more in line with your true self. And true self comes when you are able to release the limitations that you have placed on yourself based on the beliefs that you created from what society and what people have been telling you from childhood. And when
Yes.
you're able to release these limitations and start really to look into the fulfillment of what brings you joy, that is what starts to bring you into alignment with your life purpose.
Yes. I love how you repeat everything so nicely.
Oh, well, thank you. I want to make sure that I understand it and that our watchers and our viewers
Yeah.
are taking it in the way that I am as well, and that we're all in alignment and in agreement here so that it makes sense for all of us. And
Yes.
it's quite beautiful the way it unfolds, really. And so there's a meditation you mentioned. There is a meditation for a true self that somebody can do.
Yeah, it's on my actually it's you can have it for free from my YouTube channel,
Oh, I
Karma
love it.
on the Magical Karma Priestess, the YouTube channel called Magical Karma Priestess, and there's a playlist there, and there are several meditations there. So not just the Samadhi meditation, which I was mentioning earlier, but there is also a pyramid manifestation meditation for visualization, and there is also a karmic depth release for anger in that library, and also there is a practice for pranayama breathing. Yeah.
Oh, this is incredible. And this is on Magical Karmic Priestess, and that's your
Karma.
channel on YouTube.
Magical Karma
Oh,
Priestess. Yeah.
Karma. Magical
Yeah.
Karma Priestess on YouTube. That's incredible.
But
That's so
you,
lovely.
from my website
Oh,
is all my social links there. So my website is easy, is my name. So it's edithbkis.com. So if someone just go to my website, they can easily find all my socials, so the YouTube channel as well.
what an incredible name, too. Edith B. Kiss. What? That's an incredible name. I love
I
it.
was I was born with this, so it's some people is like, oh, have you made this name? But no, actually, I was born with this. It's in my birth certificate. Yeah.
That's an incredible name. I love it. Definitely has a great ring to it. And so, okay, let's go back to the true self. So, and that's how somebody can be more true to themselves. I really love this. And so, raising frequency. What does it mean to raise the frequency? Let's say someone's listening to this for the first time. They don't know what that means. How can we make this easy for them to understand? What does it mean to raise your frequency?
Basically, your emotions, what you are feeling, they have a frequency. And then if you feel like higher frequency emotions, that's raising your frequency, basically. So to be able to like controlling your emotions and make sure that you are always in the highest vibrational emotions, that's how you can raise your frequency. And the highest vibrational emotions are the joy and happiness and bliss and gratitude. Some people mistaken the love, but the love itself is the biggest power in the universe. So if you want to make sure that you are protected energetically, you just open your heart and then you feel love. But it's not the same when the human on a human level feel or think about love. Because if I tell you like love, like on a human, you already think about all your heartbreak, all your heartbreak, and then all your other exes, and it's like everything in there, like fights and not just the pure love, the positive, the joy and happiness. It's like a mix. So in the human form, the love itself is not the highest vibrational emotion. Is actually lower than joy and happiness because of all the negative aspects of it as well. And then, of course, when you go lower than the sadness, the anger, those are also low vibration, the disappointment, those are low vibrational emotions. So they pull you down your vibration. And then you getting really vulnerable, even physically vulnerable. Because when you are in a low vibrational emotions, then even your aura start to break because it's blocking the chakras. And the chakra is connected with your aura, and the aura is your shield. Your aura is what protects you from other people's emotions and other people's thoughts, so basically it's when you are allowing yourself to be in a low vibrational emotion, you become vulnerable, fragile. So that's why it's recommended to, whenever you feel negative emotions, to shift it to positive, to pick yourself up, don't linger there too long. That's why it's like, if you know how to release it, deal with it, then it's the best thing to, okay, I got triggered. This is low vibrational emotion is my reaction. So I need to heal. I need to find the root of the cause, the root memory, or trauma, and release it from the core to get healed and stop this emotion. So, but if you are not knowing how to do that, then it's just have the awareness that you are there, and then shift yourself up basically through even dancing, or singing, or exercise, or go for a run, or do a meditation, or just eat maybe some nice fruits, or what brings you pleasure as well, or which brings you like joy, happiness, or start counting your blessings basically, because I'm sure even though you are in a low vibrational position, you still have some blessings in your life. There is always something what you can be grateful to. And then that's another way to raise your vibration, is counting your blessings basically.
I love how you said that low emotion is a reaction. That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. It's a reaction. So try to notice that reaction and to bring yourself back. I see the reaction and I'm ready to release it by shifting my emotion into something more higher. So, which is joy, happiness, glee, and gratitude. So let's go back to love, though. You're talking about how not in the type of love where, oh, I've been in love before because but that led to heartbreak because it can easily bring you back down. So, what type of love are you speaking of?
So that's why I'm saying that there is like in my vocabulary basically is there's two kinds of love. The one is the divine love, the love energy which is in the universe, like I
Okay.
would even say the unconditional love or the divine love. And
Oh,
then
unconditional. Yes.
or that kind of love is actually what you carry in your heart, and then you can embody that love. And that love is which can protect you from negative energies, from negative situations, from protect your for from entities or anything which can harm you. Basically, the love is you can create a love bubble around you for protect you basically. And because because that's a very strong energy itself. But when we're talking about the human form of love, is always includes some negative aspects as well. Like when you say love as a human, you don't feel the purity of the love or just the bliss of it, but you always have some else there, like some anxiety, some
Mm.
stress about it, some uncertainty, some, whatever you feel in a relationship around love, you actually bring it into there. So that's why it's not so high vibration when a human is thinking about a love as a connection.
I understand this. This is pretty incredible. So, and basically, the unconditional love that's given to all of us by the divine energies. And so, in connecting with this divine energy, that's when we get to embody that love, by automatically knowing that we're safe and protected by this immense, infinite love, eternal love. And in that love is where we find the joy, the happiness, the glee, the gratitude, the bliss. And that's what's going to keep a higher vibration. What about self love?
Yeah, is the same thing. Like that's why I'm saying, like, if you are able to, embody self-love, you're able to carry that love in you. That's the same thing like the divine, you're connecting with the divine love, and that's what you embody. So the self-love is
Okay.
is what needs to grow within you, basically, because some people who doesn't have self-love is that because they maybe have guilt and shame, or they feel not good enough or unworthy, and they might have these all kinds of negative emotions against themselves. So they need to forgive themselves first
Hmm.
to be able to open and receive the divine love, and then also to love themselves. Yes.
So, in releasing these negative things that we have programmed ourselves to think that we are, that we've inhabited, in releasing that, we are allowing in more of the pure essence of the divine love. And in allowing that in is how we can embody that love and become that divine love.
Yes, because it's really important, because you need to take away something to make space for the new,
Yeah,
so it's like it's also like recommended to declutter your home, from
right.
like in the feng shui. It's the same thing. You need to let go things to make space for the new, and then to make space for the good ones, the good things. So basically, we need to declutter ourselves, and then how we declutter ourselves is basically we release the old wounds, we release the pains, the all of those things, which is actually creating heaviness, creating struggle, or blocking the chakras, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
I love that analogy. Declutter yourself. Declutter yourself in order to allow purity in. I love this because there's no purity in clutterness. Actually,
Mm.
there's a lot of clouds there, a lot of heaviness, as you said.
Yes, yes. And then it's like you said, clouds, right?
Yes.
Because it's a really great what you were saying, because when I do the release session with the clients, I always tell them to imagine all of those negative emotions, what we just releasing, as a black cloud and sending up to the supreme pure consciousness. So it's like a black cloud when they are actually releasing it. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm glad I tapped into that. That's beautiful. And so then how do you help your clients release these blockages, or people in general, your friends or family? How do you help them to do this? Is it through the meditation, or do you also do Reiki, or do you also practice the karmic yogi I guess the was it a karmic yogi practitioner that you became as well?
Yeah, so the karma yoga healing is actually includes the emotional trauma release. It includes the meditation and those tools, and the ancestral healing and karma healing. So that's under the karma yoga healing. I use Reiki when I can't start with karma yoga healing yet, because if someone comes to me with a very high anxiety and then very lack of focus, because they feel so terrible, then I need to start with energy healing first, to bring them to a position where they can actually focus on the meditation and get into transcendental state, and I can start working with them, because sometimes they are really like crying, they are really exhausted from in their soul, they really feel terrible. I can't even start the process with them, because the source memory healing is a cellular healing. It can also exhaust them, during the process. Is It's still a gentle process, but it can be like a bit exhausting if they are in a very fragile situation. So then, for example, if someone comes to me with panic attacks and it is like a really intense, like a daily thing for them, and it's like they are very crying all day and they are very anxious, then I need to start with Reiki first to bring them into a position that they are more calm, and then they can actually focus on the meditation and do the healing process with the source memory healing.
This makes sense. So basically, you're utilizing quite literally why you're a holistic therapist, because you're using holistically all of the elements that you've learned throughout your own healing to heal others energetically, beginning with what's more softest for that individual first and what's
Yeah.
not so painful, because it can be heavy, I can imagine. And so you basically you work by releasing a little bit of blockages at a time rather than going through a different source. You kind of because everybody's different, so you kind of have to figure out what this individual is like, ask the right questions, and actually even physically see what they're going through, and then be able to determine what's going to be the best energetic frequency that you use for them, or channel, to be able to get in there, to release a little at a time, to be able to get more into the next level, which could be ancestral or so on and so.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
And so then I had a couple questions actually here. I have a lot of questions, right? One question is, how do you protect yourself? I mean, don't you get exhausted after doing this therapy with individuals? What does it do to your energy? Does it deplete your energy? How do you protect your energy, and how do you get your energy back?
I do a lot of meditation as well. So I always start my morning with ancestral defect release meditation every morning, and then I also do other meditations during the day. So usually I do 2, 3 meditations a day. And then I also, I eat healthy. I eat very pure. I drink lots of water. That's also I drink very clean water. I have a water purifier. So I make sure that I'm also very healthy. I eat healthy food. I do exercise. But basically for energy protection is like the meditations are very good. I also do sometimes Reiki on myself if I feel I need to. And but the source memory healing is not draining me much because I'm just talking, I'm just guiding them. So it's more like a guided healing. They are the ones who's experiencing the release mostly. So it's not that draining for me. And also when I do Reiki healing is also, I use the energy of the divine. So it's just going through my body. So it's also not that exhausting. So I don't do many clients a day. So I have space, like how I actually schedule them to make sure that I still have lots of time for myself. So basically it's easy to create that structural schedule for myself. And yeah, it's mostly just, time, because sometimes the healing takes 2 hours. So it's what tiring is basically to be focused for 2 hours,
Oh
It's
yeah,
like you
definitely.
need to be focused for 2 hours, guiding them through, but it's not taking anything out of me, like energetically, like, it's not connecting to me, like not attached to me energetically. Because yeah, it's not how it works. Is more, and then we always use the supreme pure consciousness. We always use the energy of the source energy. So it's basically we are always in the protection of those energies. So we are always regaining whatever we maybe lose. So it's
I can imagine that you probably maybe sometimes even feel lighter yourself after doing a healing session. Maybe you even feel energetic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also because, I love doing it, so I feel grateful,
Sure.
like I'm raising my vibration because I have gratitude. I see them smiling, I see them happy after the session. And that's one thing which makes me happy. And then yeah, and then the Reiki as well, as it goes through me, I also gain energy. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that you mentioned that you drink clean water, purified water, because what a lot of people aren't aware of is that water that's not purified or unclean water can calcify your pineal gland. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So, in having clean, purified, alkaline water, you're able to take away the blockages from your pineal gland and able to get more clear messages and visions, if you want to say it that way. Probably clear, more aligned meditations as well.
Yeah, and then yeah, I came across some clients who can't visualize, or they don't have visions, or it's very rare, but it happens that sometimes they can't bring in the memories we need to release. Then basically I just tell them to meditate more, because even if it's the pineal gland calcified, if they meditate more, it's gonna decalcify it as well, because we use the light from the source to bring it in continually. So it's the light helping decalcifying it during the meditation.
And then if you do both, I mean, I can imagine that you'll have even clearer and
Mm.
clearer meditations and probably rapid healing as well.
Oh, yes.
This is beautiful. And so another question here. So, when you're doing healing sessions on your clients, do they ever get sick from all the stuff that they've released?
Actually, yes. So if they release a lot, it depends how deep they go or how much needs to be released. It depends what they went through. Like some clients has like traumas or situations when they felt all kinds of emotions, like a range of 20 emotions. If they need to release like 20 emotions from every memories, is draining them more, and then they can feel like a kind of like a flu syndrome,
Hmm.
that they feel like they need to rest, or they feel tired, and then it takes them maybe a day or two to recover. And I remember the time when I started to do this healing journey 6 years ago, and then we were on the course. We were healing each other on the training, and then we were like receiving like 3 sessions a day, sometimes, 2, 3 sessions. And then I went home after like a weekend of training with many releases, and like I felt like a train went over me. So
Awesome.
literally. And then so now, knowing this, when I teach my facilitators, because I also teach this modality to people who's light workers or who wants to heal others. So I have facilitator trainings, and now I do the facilitator training on a more spaced out way. It's not like a weekend, it's more like with sessions which are spaced out, and then they practice on each other on a certain times when they schedule it. So I make it more gentle on them, and then more digestible, the whole process, the whole study materials and everything. So it's landing much deeper for them. So that's but also excite me to give this knowledge to others, basically.
I can imagine. And then once these people become healed, they can start. I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving. I learned to heal this way, and now this is what I learned, and then that person can teach the next person,
Yeah.
and and that's also generational healing because somebody from there on catches the information and oh wow, this is amazing. This is beautiful. And so going back to when you first had some panic attacks. I mean, I know this is back to the beginning of the interview. I'm trying to put this all together. And so when you started off initially, it was with panic attacks, and you went through the series of healing, starting with the Reiki, and then going to transcendental states and learning karmic yogi, the tradition, and to release some of the blockages that you had stored within your body. At what point did you realize that you were no longer having, I'm assuming you're no longer having issues, or if you want to call it an issue, or any type of stagnant energy that's causing panic attacks?
It was a couple of years ago, like when I actually felt like now it's all gone. So, yeah, so why? So there was probably so many things to release and heal, and it was connected with so many past life traumas. So when I started my healing journey, first I was like more getting into these lifetime traumas or these lifetime memories, basically. And then as I was continuing and then healing my triggers, like it was sometimes went into past life and then again past life. So then it was like so many things to release and heal that it took years basically to get rid of everything. And then also it's like uh most of the time when I went into down to healing, it was already when it was a physical illness, because I didn't uh, I was busy doing other things. I was busy taking care of other people, and then sometimes I wasn't take a break to heal myself when it was only just mental level. I had to fall sick to actually, okay, now I'm doing the healing. And then now I always recommend to my clients that don't wait that long. Do it as soon as you got triggered, you feel the negative emotions, or you feel like crying, or you feel depressed, or whatever. Start doing the release before it becomes sick, before you become sick,
Sure.
physically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and have the awareness earlier. So that is how it was happening, and that's why probably it took me longer, because I was always allowed it to happen, to become a sickness before I was releasing it. But if I would take care of myself on a better way, then I would have done it like, okay, I got triggered, I need to do it. I got triggered, I need to do it. So it's I we're always learning about
Mm.
from our mistakes as well. And the other thing which is really important, that how I got the panic attacks is also because I wasn't taking care properly of my physical body.
Okay.
So
That makes
I
sense.
was I wasn't sleeping good enough, I wasn't eating good in that period of time when I started to have panic attacks. So
Mhm.
it's another thing is that if you take care of your body, like you have enough sleep, you eat enough nutrients, you do exercise, you go on to fresh air, and then do grounding meditations, then you already protect yourself in the way like you are more resilient towards triggers. You
True.
become more resilient with a stronger body. And it's also coming back to the hormonal production. So if you eat good nutrients, it's also helping with the good hormonal production and the healthy body. So basically, because why you get emotionally weak is if your hormones are off, or if you don't eat enough or you don't sleep
Right.
enough, that's when it's throwing off, you get anxious and stressed, and then
So
also the
true.
panic
Yeah, because
attacks.
your hormone levels, your stress levels are up.
Yeah, so basically, if you take care of these things, that's already it's making you resilient, and you're not gonna get triggered that often, or you're not gonna have reactions towards the triggers. So, but what's the difference here is like if you are healed or if you are just taking care of your physical body. So if you are taking care of your physical body, you're gonna still receive triggers, but you're gonna deal with them on a much stronger way. So it means you're gonna be resilient, and then you don't react as much. You more respond than react. You might having some negative emotions, but you not fall sick physically. That's what I'm saying. But then by time later on, when it's piling up these triggers and they're gonna still hit you, then it's eventually become an illness, but not maybe when you were 20, but when you were like 50,
Right.
because you took care of yourself better physically. But it's still gonna get you
Sure.
eventually, because it's a trauma response. But if you know that there is something there because you having the reactions, and you release that, then you also prevent the later diseases as well in your
Definitely.
later age.
Oh man, this is just incredibly fascinating. I love it, and I love the alignment, and definitely makes sense for me. And so I have another question. And so, on the topic of negative emotion, so my brother passed away in April. This April 9th, he passed away of cancer. He was battling for almost 4 years. And for me, what's been challenging is the grief roller coaster.
Mhm.
Now, one thing before I get into the grief roller coaster, one thing I'm understanding that I would love to do, and I'm definitely going on the Magical Karma Priestess YouTube channel that you have, to release some of this karmic ancestral pain, these chains that are tied, these diseases that are tied within our family culture, so that, to stop this hopefully from happening again and again and again. But aside from that, how does one start to release? Let's just use that topic of grief that I brought up. If I'm feeling down, for example, yesterday I had to go to the cemetery, and it can be heavy. And I love raising my frequency. I love being in joy. I love singing. I love dancing. I love making people laugh and smile and motivating people. But in that state, in that heaviness, I mean, how can somebody turn it around? I mean, I had to take a nap. I had to come home from everything and just really just take an hour or two nap and then wake up a little bit more refreshed. And I had a vegetable drink and just whatever I can do and exercise to get my vibration back up. And it helped. But sometimes, and I can imagine, a lot of my brother's friends are feeling it. Like collectively, everybody that knew my brother is just, they're feeling the heaviness. Like, what
Mm.
can people do when they're grieving to raise their vibration?
It's all about perspective. How do you look at it? Like, why do you have to grieve? You have to grieve because you lost someone. So you have like a lack energy. You grieving the time what you miss with that person, right?
Sure.
And it's basically your perspective. If you look at it from the person who left, perspective, that person returned to God. It's in a beautiful place now, is feeling good, is looking at you down from there. It's happy, flappy, not having any more
Yeah.
pain,
Right.
it's just on the best place. And we are still in this game called life.
Right.
And then we're still struggling. So he's just watching from up, and then he's like, yeah, you go, man, you go. So
Yeah.
anyway, so if you change your perspective and you see it from a bigger picture,
Right.
like how he feels up there, how then you are like, you have to let it go, you let go, and then you are like happy for him, and then you are like, okay man, I'm doing it, I'm gonna be great for you because I know you watching. And then next time when you go to the cemetery, you're gonna go there smiling and you're gonna talk to him like, have you seen that when I was doing this and that, it was cool, right? So just have a different perspective. He didn't go away, he's there, he's watching, he's laughing
Oh
at you.
yeah, I know he is. I get
And
so many signs.
he's really sad when you are sad. And but he can't
True.
tell you like, hey, don't be sad. I'm happy there. I'm happier than I was in the bed in the hospital. I'm
Right.
cool. I'm great. Don't be sad. Live your life. Be happy. You're not missing out because I'm not there. You can still do whatever you want.
Sure.
So just put this perspective into your mind, and then you're gonna shift out of grief immediately.
I love that. And I love that changing the perspective and be happy for him. I am happy for him. I actually hadn't said that. I mean, I'm happy that he's out of that painful body. So thank you for that perspective. And thank you so much, Edith. This has been really eye opening. I mean, third eye opening. And it's just been really an incredible alignment here to be blessed by your energy and all of your wisdom that you've gained throughout your life currently. Thank you so much for all that you do and for all that you do for humanity and for yourself. So I have a poem. I'm a writer. I started writing when I was like 5 years old, and that's the way that I release energy. So I have a poem here, and I dedicate it to you. So I'm gonna read this poem, and then you can tell us afterwards how our viewers. Actually, you can tell us now. How can our viewers, our watchers, and our listeners get a hold of you? Besides Magical Karma Priestess on YouTube, you also said edithbkiss.com, correct?
Yes, yeah. So edithbikis.com is my webpage. I'm also active on Instagram. So I always post there whatever new things is happening in my world. I'm running challenges in my Facebook group, but all the information is actually also on my YouTube, all my links there if somebody wants to download my ebook or get into some of my masterclass, or then there is lots of materials people can dive in.
Well, this is beautiful, and all this information will be in the show notes as well. So here we go. This is a poem for Edith B. Kiss. All right. I take a deep breath and inhale all there is. I inhale the air and I inhale the energy that surrounds my aura. I exhale what needs to exit and bless it as it leaves my body. Intertwined with an inner dance, I subject myself into becoming all there is because all there is all that ever has been and all that ever will be. And within my alignments, I pour my light to show you that you can also be with oneness. And that's it. And that's what your energy did to me. So thank you so much.
Yes, this is very powerful, you know that. It's very powerful. If someone get to that point to embody the oneness, that's really good.
It's beautiful. It really is. And that's definitely a goal of mine. And hopefully with these meditations that I continue, and I can definitely get more and more of that taste and that flavor. Eat it, be kiss, everybody. This has been really magical, beautiful experience, and I'm really blessed and honored to have met you and humbled. Thank you so much for being on a Little Less Fear podcast.
Thank you, Lino. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye,
I'm glad.
everyone.
I enjoyed it as well. Thank you.